Hello interwebs, welcome to Let's Fix Computers. We've got an MSI gaming laptop here, and this is, to be exact, it's an MS1781, and we've got a couple of bits and bobs wrong with this. The main issue is a broken hinge. So you can see here we've got a cable where it shouldn't be, we've got a gap there. Now I think this is going to put up a bit of a fight to open, so I'm going to very carefully try and open this up and see what we're dealing with here. But I don't want to rip everything out of the display assembly if I can help it. So what I'm going to do, in order to get this open, I've put my thumb under the screen and I'm going to grip the screen right at the base of the hinge on the other side. So my thumb is pressing like there on the inside of the screen. So when I lift the screen, I can bend the hinge at the metal point. So that way we won't rip everything straight out, which is what it's trying to do. Okay, so we've got that open. So as you can see, right, yeah. So this front bezel is trying to come off. What I think we'll do is we'll take the rest of this bezel off, and then I think we'll be able to assess the damage and see what we're dealing with. The other problem we've got with this laptop as well is this mouse button is pretty bought. So we're going to see if we can do anything with that. This might just need to be replaced, but in all probability these mouse buttons are probably on a small circuit board underneath this panel, and we'll probably be able to replace them. So let's see if we can do anything with that. So I'll bring the camera around the front just so you can see what I'm up to here. Okay, right, let's see if we can get the rest of this off. So this should just unclip, so I'm going to very carefully, I'm just going to start pulling it off, and I'm going to be pulling it away from the screen, and I'm going to be moving it left and right to try and just wiggle the clips out. And as you can see, those are just popping out. And now when we get to the top, we're going to go up and down like that. Whoa, okay, that display assembly wants to fall off. Oop, there we go. So there's our bezel off. That'll just pop back on when we want to. Okay, let's take a look at that hinge and see what we're dealing with here. Oh boy, we're all blue tacked in down here. Let's get the top down view. Okay, right. Excuse me laying my microfiber cloth over the laptop here, but the amount of black that this laptop has is just causing my camera to go into night mode, and it's destroying the picture. So what we're dealing with here is the hinge is broken out from the top lid. So the top part of the laptop, so this bit, the lid that you close, this is called the top lid, and these brass fittings here, you see that little thing with the arrows going around the side of it, those should be embedded in this plastic, and then the screw that goes through it attaches this hinge to the top lid. And what's happened is those have just all broken out of the back. This is a very common fault on cheaply built laptops like Acers and HPs to a certain extent. However, I wouldn't expect to see that on a big MSI like this. Something with a big 17-inch screen, this really should have a bar going all the way up the side of the laptop to spread, to balance all that load across the entire display. Because when you open and close this big 17-inch screen, all of the pressure and tension and strain is all being put onto these plastic mounts, and that's just not going to last. And more to it, if we go over to the other side of the laptop here, you can actually see where it's probably happened on this side already, only this one has just been buried in some kind of clay or fixative. It looks like blue tack, and it looks like that stuff where you mold it all in and it hardens into a solid piece, which actually looks like this is surprisingly good repair. I kind of want to know what this stuff is, because there are certain times where you just can't find the parts to repair laptops, and that would just be perfect. So yeah, we've got to try and get the rest of this out. We've got to break all of this out so we can replace the broken parts. So I'm going to start by digging out this blue stuff, whatever the hell it is, and we'll detach the rest of the display, and then we can see if we can find some replacement parts. So let's get started on that. Right, so now we've removed that LCD, we've taken a lot of weight off of the screen as well, so that's going to make everything easier to work with. So this other repair over here is actually giving me pause for thought. Not quite sure what to do with this. I might just have to dig it all out. I mean, unless the same repair is done on the other hinge, this back cover has got to be replaced. I think what we're going to do is we're going to see if we can find a new top lid before we do anything else, because if we can't find a new top lid, we're going to have to try and do a repair similar to this ourselves, and if that's the route that we take, then I don't want to destroy this one, because I mean, it's not pretty, but that is a solid repair. That's holding really firm. That's really cool, whatever this stuff is. So let's see if we can find the replacement lid. Okay, so eBay Ho, this is an MS1781. Let's start by searching for that, see what we get, just to see if eBay actually just sort of recognizes it. Okay, so we've got a lot of random stamps and stuff. We are seeing computers, tablets, network hardware though. Let's start there. Okay, that's good. Okay, so we've got palm rest and keyboard assembly. That's a good start. So we've got parts here. We're in the right location. I'm just going to scroll down these results and see if we've got any top cases in plain sight here. Bottom cases, keyboards, cooling. There we go, bam. Okay, back cover, top lid, whatever. Ugh, man, £100 plus postage from the US. Gross. Okay, I'm going to open that in a new tab because that is a match for what we're looking for. And let's keep searching. Right, okay. Let's narrow this down to UK only. We've only got, oh man. Okay. Yeah, so we've got replacement screen. That's the only thing here that's in the UK. This one's going to be tricky. Is this laptop known as anything else? Let's Google search the MS1781. Okay, apparently this thing, does that look right? Yeah, it could be. This a GT72 2QD Dominator. So that might be the official name of this thing, GT72. Let's try searching for that. MSI GT72. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. We're getting a lot more results for that now. So we've got 325 results in UK only. So let's start scrolling through this. So we've got the laptop itself. Okay, this is going to take a while. Let's try and refine the search a bit more. Let's start with lid. No results. Okay, we've got Chinese results though. And what was the other one we had? 112 plus. Ooh, import charges. Yeah, so it's going to be a lot. Oh, 2 screw hole of damage. Ugh. Screw that noise. How is why would you sell that for $100? $140 damaged. No thank you. Okay, let's have a look at this one that's from China. What does that look like? Okay, that's brand new. That's a better start. It's not some crappy second-hand from America thing that's already broken. Now, does that look like the same shape? It's expensive for a glorified piece of plastic, and it's going to take a couple of weeks to arrive, but this is the best that we're going to manage. So we're going to stick one of these on order. Okay, right, our replacement lid has arrived. Overnight parts from Japan. But not really, this thing took weeks. And yeah, this is why I hate importing parts. Not very often I'll actually go to the effort of importing something from China. Just because, yeah, the amount of time and hassle is just not worth it. But when it's actually a half-decent laptop and the customer doesn't mind waiting, well, sure, why not, I guess. Okay, so we are replacing the top lid on this thing. So we are taking all this off now. So let me just unpack this. And we can go ahead and destructively remove what is left here. Let's get this bottom panel off. and get those hinges out. With a bit of luck, I don't have to gut the laptop out to do this. I really hope so anyway. Here we go. Okay, it's not looking promising for removing those hinges. It looks like we might need a lot of work on this thing. Okay, let's see if we can get the top case off. So I'm going to carry on undoing all these screws and see what else falls off. Right, what have I achieved by taking out those screws? Let's take the keyboard out and see what else we've got under there. The temptation to just break this thing off is real, but I don't want to risk damaging the hinge. That keyboard ain't coming off. How does this thing work? Okay, let's see if we can pry off this plastic surround. What about that speaker? No, that's held in underwards, so we're okay there. Yeah, let's pry this case out. Oh, there's another screw. Okay, there we go, we're getting somewhere now. Let's pry this plastic out. And we'll give it the Adamant IT signature wiggle. Not quite. It's not ready. I think these speakers are holding it in, and it looks like the battery wants to come out as well. I'm just going to carry on just wiggling. Yeah, that battery needs to unplug. There we go. So battery out. What does this speaker want to do? Is it coming or going? Okay. All the speakers are coming with, and they're going to unplug. Let's just switch back. We got everyone. Who else? Whatever that is. Probably a sleep sensor. Okay, so we just took the bottom case with the battery and the speakers on it. So that can all just come out as a single unit now. The speakers are a pain in the ass, they're just trying to flap about all over the place. I'm just going to put that all to one side. Alright, what are we left with? Okay, we've got access to the mouse now, and I can see the issues with that, so we'll have a closer look at that in a minute. Right, these heat sinks have got to come off, and then we're going to have access to the hinges. So let's keep moving. Phew, that's a lot of thermal paste. That's a nice graphics card for a mobile. I like it. Just a friendly reminder, if we're just doing screen repairs alone, we're doing an excessive amount of disassembly here. However, we've kind of got far enough that I'm just going to overhaul this whole laptop. Okay, right, so here's the back of our hinges. Let's get those unscrewed so we can remove this display assembly. I'm not quite sure how those are coming out yet. We're about to find out. I think it's going to be a little bit horrifying. My one beef with this laptop is still just the general lack of reinforcement. Considering the size of the laptop, there really should be some proper reinforcement around these hinges, and there just isn't really. Okay, so we've got to get this clutch cover off. Let's see how the hell that's going to work. Fuck off. Alright, this is something that really needed to be done before I took all the back cover off and stuff. Let's just bend that open. If this looks horrifying, it's because it is. Okay, right, that's just lifted off now. I've pried it from the back, and Yeah, we can clear those hinges out now. So that should now just slide out. And, oh, we've got cables. Alright, hang on a sec, we're folding up, Please ignore the horrifying hash up I'm making of removing this display assembly. Okay, let's track these cables. Those don't look too bad actually, I think we're going to be alright. So, let's just spin that back round. Right, display cable. Are you gonna... Nope, I think that's gonna unhook. Display cable and wireless antennas. There's a couple of hooks around in this laptop, but we can just lift and tease and things will come out. Go away, Captain Tape, I don't need you in my life. There we go. There we go. Alright, that's that. Let's put the body to one side for a moment. Right, there's our top lid. So we need to extract the other hinge from that, which I think we're just going to abuse that out. I think I'm literally just going to grab a pair of pliers and rip that off because I don't care about this back cover now. However, while I've got it here, let's match it up against our replacement one. Yeah, that's a sure thing. So we need to rob all the parts out of this. We want our webcam. We want our wireless antennas. Those are going to have to come off. Can I get those around the back of the... Yeah, I think I can. I'm not going to destroy these felt bits because I'm not sure if we need to grab any of those yet or not. Man, this stuff is mental. A hammer and chisel is what I need to get this off. See what I mean? It's an ugly as hell repair, but it damn well holds. I stand by what I said, that whatever this stuff is good. Ow. Whew. Alright, there's our hinge. That's going to be fun to clean up. Right, so we'll get this dead top cover out of the way now. We're finished with that. Okay, right, so here's our new top case. So let's get this thing built. The plastic's a bit knackered, but it'll do. As you can see, we all have nice, complete screw holes on this one. So we've got 2 screws. We just need to clear this one up as well. Alright, so we've got 2 hinges now. So this one is the right hand hinge. That's going to go there. And that's the left hand hinge. That one's going to go there. So I'm going to just put them at about 90 degrees. Right, and we're going to get our cables fitted into this first because the cables will usually route around the hinges somehow. So we're going to get our wireless antennas. Which one went where? Based on the cable pattern, I can see that they go that way around. So as you can see, we've got a long run across the bottom and then an angle, whereas this one has got a short run then an angle. However, there's not really any designated spot that they stick to. So again, I'm just going to use the cable as I'm going to use the existing kinks in the wire as a guide for how far this cable is supposed to go. I'm not sure. I'm actually going to review my footage and check that. Great thing about recording your work is if you're not sure where something went, you can review your footage and look it up. Well, I was miles off. I was way too high. Way too high. There is actually a guide. It's those 2 little notches there and there. That's where it goes. And that tallies with the kinks in that copper. Okay, right, we are in position. Webcam. Alright, so that little fellow was awkward as hell. As you can see, we come around and then we put a little loop in. And that gap that is created there is exactly where that bit sits in. There. That's going to go in like that. So I'm going to put a couple of screws in loosely there just to hold that in place. We're not permanently screwing in yet, just in case. We're just going to put that in as a retaining screw. I also need to double check which way around the hinge we're going there, because I'm not convinced about that. Not sure if we're going under or over the hinge. Maybe like that. So we'll leave that just there for now. Let's get the other one. I think this one is nice and simple. That's just going to drop in there. Nice. Okay, retaining screw. Sweet. Okay, let's find our LCD, and we are probably, I think I'm going to transfer over, there's at least one foam strip I'm going to move across. I'm going to put this one back in place because this foam strip and possibly one across the top, I think those are going to support the back of the LCD and just make sure that any stress coming from the back doesn't become a pressure point on the back of the panel, which would be bad. And once again, I'm just going to refer to my previous footage just to see exactly where that strip was positioned. So that is going about there. And then that strip is just going across the top. It's nice if you can use these little felt fittings again, because they just help support everything. They avoid rattles and movement and clonking and that kind of thing. Alright, sweet. Here is a rather dirty LCD. We're just going to trial fit that. I'm going to make sure that it's not sitting on top of anything, trapping any cables. That's sitting up pretty high. Well, that's fine, I think it wants to. Yeah, that actually sits quite high off of the back lid, which again I'm comfortable with because it just means that that little bit of flex that's in the lid isn't going to twist the panel in any unfortunate manner. Cool, alright, let's get that connected up. Okay, and we're going to put in some support screws on that. Okay, I'm going to give that panel a quick wipe down while it's more exposed, so it'll be easier to do it now than when the bezel is on. There we go. Not absolutely perfect, but that's a vast improvement over what it was. Okay, I think we are ready. We can put in the rest of the hinge screws now. So I'm going to bring these hinges a bit further shut, just so everything is laying flat, because I want to make sure these screws are as tight as I can get away with. Alright, and we can go ahead and put the front bezel back on now. So I'm going to reopen those hinges a little bit. Oh, sorry, I'm taking off the back plastic. It's getting in the way at this point. And there is our fixed display assembly. Alright, that's nice, that's all ready to go back on the laptop. So we can put that to one side while we sort out that mouse. Okay, let's take a look at this trackpad then. So we're looking at the back of the trackpad at the moment. We've got the sensor there. This is a little LED bar that's providing some effects, like a light up surround or something like that. And then we've got the buttons there. So we want to take this part off and see what's underneath. So the issue is going to be, you can see we've got a break on the mouse button there in the plastics. So we want to get better access to those and see if we can fix those up. The only way to truly fix it would be to replace the entire top cover. However, given how much trouble these display assembly has already caused me, screw that noise. So let's just see, is this going to lift out? What are you trying to do there? We've got stuff coming with it here. Let's just try peeling back this fabric tape just to make sure I don't do any further damage to anything. This is basically some sort of poor man's fibre optics just to guide the light into place. Okay, there we go. That's working now. Alright, so we've got a little bit of damage to the mouse button itself. I think that mouse button is actually going to need replacing because, as you can see from the difference, we're actually missing bits of it. It should have a little silver cap and an actual plastic button on top of it. However, that's what's under this silver cap and dark button. So those bits are actually missing. They could have fallen out at any time, so who knows where those are. So there's not much we can do about that. We'll see if we can find a replacement board. If not, we can probably just replace the actual tactile switch itself. That's not a big deal either. And then as for this fella here, we can use some heat. We can use the soldering iron to just remelt these plastic joints back together again. So that's all salvageable. It's just a case of what spare parts we're going to get. So let's try searching for MS1781D and see if we have any luck with that. Okay, right, while we wait for bits for the mouse button, let's just see if we can sort out the physical button cap, as I will call it for now. So you can see we've got breaks there, there, and here, which are causing this to be free moving. So what we're going to do, I'm going to warm up the soldering iron and I'm just going to try and melt those bits together again. I don't really want to use liquid glue for this, because the problem with liquid glue is it's a very brittle connection and I think it's just going to snap again. Whereas if I try and physically melt those two back together, I think that's going to make a more lasting connection. So I'm going to heat up the soldering iron to do this, and I'm going to use my small tip for a bit of precision. Now obviously I don't really recommend using your soldering iron tips to melt plastic, but it'll be okay. Plus I don't use this tip that much, so it can take a little bit of abuse. And thankfully I saved, while disassembling the laptop, this missing bit of plastic that fell out with it, so I can just put that back into place. Now, is it possible to remove this, I wonder? No. I think I can bend it out the way to get the soldering iron in there though, so I think we'll be alright. Okay, here goes nothing. Okay, how's that working? Is that going to snap the moment I press it? No, I think we're okay. I mean, a lot of abuse is going to break those again, but I think that'll do okay. That's a good link, and we can give that bit a little bit more for good measure as well. And I think I'm going to quit while I'm ahead. And now I'm just going to quickly re-tin this soldering iron tip just to get rid of any residue that's on it. Right, yeah, we're going to have to hot air this button off the board. So we're going to peel back this plastic a bit. I think this plastic is mostly just sort of holding in position and anti-dust, so we'll just pull that back, but it's not the end of the world if it gets wrecked. And I'm just going to put something under this just so I don't cook my desk. Right, and we're just going to tidy up these pads and get rid of the lead-free solder just to make it a bit easier to work with. And make sure we get a nice, good connection with the new button. And we'll re-tin those pads. Here's our new button. Now comes a lot of shaky hand. Get ready for the cringing part. Actually, you know what, sod it, I'm going to hot air it on. I've got 10 of these replacement buttons, so if I mess it up, then who cares? I'll just put another one on. Flow, please. That's more like it. And now we'll just individually touch those up. There we go. Nice new clicky button. Okay, and we've got some nice clicky feeling buttons now. As I mentioned, I'm not sure how long this bit will hold out for, but at least the actual button underneath is brand new and solid. So that will be spot on. Good. Right, okay, I think we're ready to start putting this thing back together now. We've addressed all the major issues with it, so I think it's just a reassembly job now. Right, so I haven't gotten crazy with cleaning up some of this excess around the dies, but I'm not going to risk it because there are tiny little resistors and capacitors on the surface of these chips, and if I knock one of those off, then I'm screwed. So considering that this little bit of excess is not going to affect it, the die is the important bit, I'm not going to go crazy cleaning that up. I'm just going to get the worst of it off and just put some fresh stuff on top of the die. So let's come in with some nice new Arctic MX. You don't need a crazy amount of thermal paste. There was way too much on here, really. You're just trying to fill in the tiny little cracks in the surface of the heatsink. You know, where you can see that, you know, the brush effect across where the heatsink was made. That's all we're doing. We're just filling in those cracks. Okay, I just offered up the bottom case and realised that the bottom case needs to go on before the heatsink does, and the display assembly needs to go on before the bottom case does. So we're taking this back off again. We won't need to reapply thermal paste because it's fresh stuff on there, so it'll be absolutely fine. Alright, so here comes the display assembly, so we're going to lay that there and put this flat on it, and we're going to build this laptop in the closed position. So we've got the keyboard laying flat against the screen as if the laptop was closed. And now we'll just shut these hinges manually with a pair of pliers and screw them into place. Okay, right, now we can go in with the bottom case. Just going to make sure there's nothing out of place. That's ace. And on it goes. So we'll just make sure that none of these cables are pinched anywhere. There's one. There's my other little connector. There it is. That's fine. That's fine. Good. Okay, let's clear the ports. Fine. Okay. Let's put some placeholder screws in, and then we'll just start putting everything else together. I'm not going to put in all the screws just because it doesn't feel very convincing. So we'll just put in a couple just to hold everything together while I make sure that everything is okay. We'll pick a couple that look like they're going to sort of hold everything in. I can't figure out what's going on with these ports. Something's not right. They're just... Ah, there we go. There we go. That's fine. That's fine. We happy. Alright, let's get everything connected up. Actually, let's get this heatsink back in. Going like that, maybe? There we go. There we go. Nice. Alright, we're putting those screws in. That's good. I like it. Okay, we're going to leave that battery to the last minute, just so there's no power on the system. Alright, that's everything in place. So I think we're ready to go. Let's just check which screws are internal and which are external. So we've got 4 corners and 2 mids. Everything else should be filled. Alright, battery in. Let's check if we've got power. Oop. Do we have a charge light? Yes, we do have a charge light. You can't see it in the light, but it's there. Can I power up? Just show me that post so I know we're all good. We have a power light, we have post. Happy days. I'm just going to let that hit Windows and then I'll shut it down again. And then we'll just finish up. Right, let's dust this thing off and then we'll put it on. I've got 3 left. I'm okay with that. You haven't done the job right if you've used all the screws up. Right. Okay. Let's clean that up and see what we're left with. Alright, past that we are done. Thank you very much for watching everyone. I will see you all next time. Goodbye for now.